everybody to tomorrow, Tuesday. Today's focus is going to be on AI, the art of the possible, the wild, the crazy. I'm really, really grateful to be here today. Okay, I'm going to make you guys hate me one more time. Everybody stand up. I want you guys to stretch out. Raise your arms to the ceiling. Individually, I want you to think about something that you're grateful for. Okay? Now, I mentioned family, right? Utah Tech, we're still a small community. We're growing every day. I want you to turn to the right, to the left, and tell that person that you're grateful for them and something that you're grateful for.
Freaking love you, man. Love the way you. Here, let me get. Probably me. That's me. There you go. Yeah. Little tech family here.
Awesome. I wanted to get some energy in this room. Today, we're going to hear from some legends. These legends are a huge part of my life. I want to tell you what I'm grateful for. Last year, we were still, Mike, let me start out by telling you, my name is Sean Kimball. I'm one of the co-founders alongside Sebastian here. Our company is called Nomics. We're in the blockchain space. We'll get into that here in a second. Last year, we were still running in stealth mode during Utah Tech Week. I believe last year was the first year. Is that correct, Scott?
Yeah.
Scott Paul, everybody. He's actually one of the founders and the brains behind Utah Tech Week alongside Trent Mono at Convoy Ventures. Give it up for Scott Paul. So what happened last year? Last year, we weren't anything. Nobody knew about Nomics. Nobody knew about myself. Nobody knew about Hubert or Sebastian. I was texting Scott. I said, hey, man, I need to be at every event. I didn't really get a text back. You guys know the drill. Scott's either going to text you or he's not. I decided I was just going to force myself onto him. So we just showed up. And I believe there was probably how many events last year?
150 last year.
150.
Yeah.
I am so grateful for these two guys because I actually met Earl that same night. And today we're doing an event together a year later. And here we are. And I'm just really grateful for the Utah Tech community. Nomics, like I said, has been running in stealth mode since about January of last year. We really got into it during Cryptopia. And we've come a long way. We went from about 5 seats. We've gone to now about 25 seats. We're a pre-seed, post-rev startup. We've bootstrapped it up until this point. We're happy to announce that we did close to $1 million in revenue this last year. Thank you. And we're really excited to announce that today is the start of our seed round. And we're very confident that we will achieve our goals. And we're excited to share those updates with you along the way. But I want to turn the time over to Earl Foote of Nexus IT. They've been gracious enough to host us here in the industry building. I've never been here before. How many people have been here before? Yeah, this place is awesome. So Earl, I just want to turn the time over to you and let it rip.
Actually, I got a mic here, so we're
Right.
yeah, we can turn that one off. Thank you, Sean. Everybody, give it up for Sean, please. So good morning. How y'all feeling? All right. We appreciate you coming out, especially early. We wondered if we wanted to get this started, early. We know, conferences, we all tend to stay out a little late, even on Monday nights, because Scott Paul makes you. So some of us have raw, deep voices this morning because we were out until 1 a.m. But we're excited to have you here to host you, here at Industry. My name is Earl Foote. I'm founder, CEO of Nexus IT. We live here. We office here in this building. Building, cool space. A bunch of our team members are here. I wanted to, when Tech Week came up, actually, Sean and Sebastian and I were hanging out at a local little haunt called Max Place, and we were geeking out about the future of AI. And we decided in that moment that we would do something a little unconventional and put together this panel with some powerhouses. I have a podcast, by the way, called TechBeat. So this is a special edition, live edition of TechBeat on stage. We haven't done this before, and I've never done 3 guests on TechBeat before. I've done 1 or 2. So this is a little bit different for us. We appreciate you being part of the live streaming audience, and of course, being here with us today. When we were talking about this, we wanted to put together some really good, some really great minds to sit down and kind of stretch everybody's current perception of where we're at with AI right now and where we're going. We know it's a big buzz term, and people are starting to get turned off to the whole Gen AI thing. The reality is it's going to drive significant change and innovation in the tech sector, in business in general, and in life. And so we want to talk a little bit about that today. Before we get there, I want to have our panelists introduce themselves. Again, starting with myself, Earl Foote, founder, CEO of Nexus IT. Nexus IT is IT managed, cybersecurity solved, in very simple terms. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Let's start with Scott. We'll go to Christy, then we'll go to Sebastian. If each of you could introduce yourselves and tell just a little bit about your venture, what you're up to, what your value prop is, and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I'll be quick, but thanks everyone for coming out to Tech Week this early. The purpose of Tech Week is for collisions, and that means we're trying to get people to collide with each other in a serendipitous way. So I think that all of you will probably meet, if you go to these events, you'll meet someone. You might hug them like you made us do. That was great. Whoever got us hugging. Thank you, Sean. There are going to be a lot of relationships forged here. So I just want to say, like, have that intent as you go about the events. Make sure you're meeting the people next to you, and it'll be lifelong friendships. I'm currently working on Convoy Ventures with Trent Mono, but most of my day is trying to figure out how to apply these advances that we have right now in AI towards our own health. When you think about what's happening with AI and how they're, the grandmasters of chess are being beat by and made look like babies by the AI playing them. That same thing's going to happen to doctors, medical professionals. These AI are going to be so powerful, and we should not fear them. We should ask them the questions of how can I be healthier? What can I do? What's my next move I can do to extend my life just a little bit? And that's the questions we're asking AI, and we're building a product around that called PHI, P-H-I. And there'll be a lot of events this week that we talk about that. But I just really appreciate everyone coming out and have this discussion. This will be really fun. I want to get the audience involved as much as we can.
Hi, good morning. My name is Christy Holt, and I have been in the AI space for about 7 years. Before, everyone thought it was super cool and actually thought it was kind of dumb and didn't know what it was and wouldn't even talk to me about it. You know who you are.
Any VCs in the room?
I had a big FU for you. No, just kidding. No, I have been doing voice analysis AI for the last 6 years and developing a lot of data around it. And it's been extremely awesome. And our core focus is emotional intelligence. So when I was talking about emotional intelligence and AI, nobody cared. And then the pandemic hit in 2020, and now everyone's like, hey, I kind of think emotions might matter. What do we need to know about them? So we have had a product in the market gathering data, and we recently shifted to powered by Vibonics AI, so we can bring innovation to other technologies. And so the cool ones that we're building right now, so we have a building partner that builds cool products. One of my favorite ones is going out in the education space. And the whole goal is to improve emotional intelligence and life skills in the K through 12 and with universities. And that's super exciting. That's launching on February 15th. And it's just about feeling better now. So we've been using AI already in the mental health space to prompt it and then give it life skills and give more predictions to help outcomes and improve outcomes, very personal outcomes for specifically the user. So cool things that we're doing. Super excited to be here. I kind of feel like maybe the new kid on the block up here, but super excited to be here today.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Sebastian Shepis, and I am the CTO of Nomics during my day job, and my evening job is as an AI researcher. I'm a co-PI at the University of Connecticut, and my interest is sentience and consciousness. And I've been engaging in consciousness research for some time and have actually created a scientific field of study of observation called observational dynamics. Our company is involved in two different lines of businesses, I should say. We have Web3 infrastructure as well as AI infrastructure. On the AI side, we have a chatbot that we've actually built that is able to very easily clone a influencer's personality and then be able to work in their stead, essentially. That product is doing quite well. And yeah, I'm here to talk to you guys about consciousness and sentience. My particular interest is AGI, artificial general intelligence. And yeah, I want to tell you guys about my ideas if you're interested.
As you can see, I think we got a really great panel put together for today. I failed to mention two things. First off, a big shout out to Mallory Lovestad for always organizing all of our events, doing all the marketing and everything. Thank you, Mallow. Appreciate it. Two, you're not going to want to miss this week. My band's playing. We call it Rock and Roll Social. So we're playing officially for Utah Tech Week. We'll be playing at the new Oh Shucks White Room at the bottom of Park City Main Street Thursday at about 7 p.m. So come out, bring your best 80s and 90s outfits. We will be giving out some tickets to USANA for some concerts for those who have the best outfits. It'll be a good time. It's where all the cool kids are going to hang out. So you all want to be there. I'm pretty positive. Anyways, so let's dig into the subject matter today. We got about 45 minutes because Scott's got to get back down south for a couple of events that Phi is doing. So we're going to try to do this panel in about 45, and then the last 45 minutes or so we'll leave for networking and for you to have second rounds of whatever you want to have. I want to start just kind of with a discussion around, and by the way, I've got a few talking points I want to get into today. After each kind of talking point, I'm going to open it up to you, to the audience, for a couple of questions. We're not going to do a ton, but 2 or 3, and then towards the end, we'll have more open Q&A, okay? So starting off, I want to talk a little bit about just maybe the most unconventional, disruptive, exciting sort of applications that you've seen so far. Of course, if we go back and look, I know there's a lot of technologists in the room. And, as Christy mentioned, I mean, she's already been working on an AI startup. She's an OG, she's been working on it for 7 years. Of course, neural networks and all that started in the 60s, the 70s. The reality is AI has been around a long time. It just wasn't part of mainstream audiences until ChatGPT launched in, was it November, December of 22? Generative AI suddenly hit the mainstream. And all of a sudden everybody thought, oh, wow, AI is finally here. And it's like, no, it's actually been here for like 30 or 40 years, and it's been used. In fact, in my realm, if I'm going to start the conversation, I think the coolest thing that we do today in cybersecurity is we detect, we neutralize, and we alert of threats through AI. And we battle weaponized AI with benevolent AI, which is kind of, and actually it's been something that's, part of the tools that we use for 10 or 12 years. And a lot of people are like, oh, wait, but that AI existed? And it's like, yeah, it did exist. And we use it, on a daily basis, our team does. So for me, that's been, one of the coolest current applications in our domain. But I want to see, from each of the panelists, what's kind of the coolest, most disruptive, unconventional application you've seen so far? Scott, let's start there.
I had other thoughts before today, but the more I think about it, it's actually with the youth. It was when I was watching my daughter for 2 hours while I was driving to St. George interact with GPT-4, and she now is so down to draw using DALL-E and make whatever's in her mind. She's going back and forth, iterating on generative art. And I'm thinking about this. I'm like, she's 8 years old and she can ask and get any question. It's not like browsing Google anymore. These kids have the more information than any of their teachers, more creative ability than any they've ever had before. And so I just, it's the application to that age group. What's going to happen to kids who can, and now she sees things and she'll see that photo over there and she's like, wow, AI, Dad, look, anything that's beautiful and creative, she's giving credit to AI already. I'm like, no, there's still humans that make some of this stuff. So I think it's not as much the application, it's the accessibility to generations that maybe didn't have this type of technology at their fingertips before. So both the like under 12, and then I've watched octogenarians use it for health. And I'm talking just interacting with GPT models like that are really accessible because of how easy they are.
Yeah.
That's the application that I think is most fascinating. It's now here for everyone, and we don't even know what generations, how that generation is going to use it and how it's going to affect their minds for answering problems and questions they have.
Yeah.
It's so new. We don't even have a clue on how it's affecting the students in high school right now.
Yeah. This is one of the most exciting things for me, really. Like, you think about the pace of evolution of the human race, our ability to learn and our ability to, to change and evolve as human beings in a race. And like, suddenly there is access to information for even 8-year-olds that we've never had at our fingertips before, right? And so I feel like, and you think back, you think industrial age, and then you think, current era, what did the era of the internet do for the human race? How has it changed? Just granted, pros and cons, right? We all know that. Christy, of course, works on, the effects of social media on mental health, particularly on youth and that kind of stuff, right? So pros and cons, but the reality is we are smarter, we're more nimble, we're more capable as a human race because of the application of technology. And if you think about 8-year-olds, right? 5-year-olds in kindergarten learning to interact with an LLM, right? And GPT, yeah, go ahead, Sebastian.
It's going to change learning fundamentally, right? Because all of a sudden you have this tool now that is an extension of your own mind. How do we live our lives now with our own minds? We inquire into our own minds to get an answer, right? When you're thinking or when you're doing your work, you're not really consciously going into your mind to work with the details. You're inquiring into it. You're asking a question and an answer comes back. What's the difference between that and an AI, right? The only difference between the two is the interface that you're using, right? One is direct, the other still has some translation in the way where you've got to go from one medium to the next to the third, but fundamentally they're the same thing, right? So we've got this technology now that is basically a mind in potential, and it can be used in whatever way you want. And that, to me, that's the killer app. That AI isn't so much an other here to challenge our existence, but it's in fact a part of us, right? It is us, and that will change everything.
Almost giving that perspective of like you're taking it from here, thinking it is you, and bringing it out here and like being curious.
Yeah.
I think what I've seen is the curiosity and the personalization and the predictions. And I think that to me has been the most fascinating, is to take a bunch of data set and put it into a model where we can understand what changes so we can predict the outcomes way faster than we've ever been able to before. And I think that's the most fascinating part, not only in the human experience, but how we learn to create and in the way that our kids are going to see the way that we create. And when in the healthcare industry, especially, where we can get into accurate predictions and know the accurate outcomes 99% of the time. And I think that just will completely change the way that we look and feel to do everything in life.
I think that the way that we will work in the future will be very different. Imagine all of a sudden having the capacity to be able to access any knowledge that you want to, and essentially have a skill set appear in front of you and be at your disposal instantly. What's important then at that point? What qualities are important to have as a human to be able to live in this world? And
I
all
know,
of
I know.
flexibility, right?
No, emotional
Yes,
intelligence.
that.
It is emotional intelligence. It is our humanism that separates us from AI.
Absolutely.
So now we get to get out of our minds that we are the mind,
Yeah.
because the mind, we are our human self, and that is the differentiator.
But it will also it will ask us to be flexible in a way that we've never been before, where all of a sudden your capacity to be able to do something will be dependent on your ability to instantly take in the knowledge that's presented in front of you and act on it. So our the way that we'll be as humans will be very different. We'll be able to instantly have this knowledge in front of us, but then when we won't need it anymore, it won't be there. So what will happen likely is that we will be able to actually to very, very quickly absorb this knowledge, but very also quickly it will go away as well. So memory is likely to change drastically in the future. Right?
Coming back around to the question here, Christy, most unconventional application you've seen so far, or most disruptive?
Well, being in the mental health space and really looking at human potential in this space, is that predictive modeling and personalization that AI can bring that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
So everything becomes way more personal to the one as we're studying the whole. And I think that's the most incredible way to look at it. And I also have a 9-year-old that's doing the way that he is thinking, just using chat GPT and thinking through things. I agree with you. My kids are asking questions, and it's their curiosity of pushing every belief system out there is so cool. And I love the way that their minds are working. So I think it's really disruptive in the way that in just curiosity alone.
Yeah. Sebastian, how about you? Most disruptive thing you've
Most
seen?
disruptive app.
Yeah, mic close there. You go.
I mean, to me, having the ability to become something else in an instant is, to me, the most disruptive app that there can possibly be. You can transform yourself in an instant with AI in a way that you never could before, because language is intelligence. And so when you have the ability to form a concept that isn't quite sharp, but then to be able to have that reflected back to you in a way that it's sharp and well-defined it's incredible. It's a bit like the Matrix when Neo is sitting in that chair and he says all of a sudden, "I know Kung Fu." That's what it feels like for me to use these AI systems, because they instantly mirror back this intelligence into your mind that in a way that is remarkable. And that to me is the killer app, because it will allow us all to become much more
Learning by osmosis, nearly. Like, yeah, I've learned a ton just in the last, year and a half interacting with, with GPT models, right? With chat models. It's been, it's been fantastic. It's been cool. Okay, let's, I'm not going to take questions on this segment because I don't think it's really applicable. Let's go, I want to talk a little bit about I want to talk about competitive advantage in business and practical applications. We are technologists here. We're all futurists too, but we're technologists thinking about competitive edge in business today. And AI presents a lot of opportunity for that. Christy, you mentioned a greater ability to understand individuality and preference like we never have before, and then applying that in customer experience, applying that in individualized marketing, and stuff like that. One of the specific applications right now of being able to use AI to do things bigger, better, smarter, faster, right? Let's talk a little bit more about that. Let's start actually with you, Christy, on is there something you're doing in your business today that's giving you competitive advantage in the marketplace that that's based on AI right now?
Yeah, so when I heard the word chat GPT, I think it was in October of 2022, something in me was like, that is important, whatever that is. And I went and researched what it was. And very shortly, we created Gabby. And Gabby is, at the core, is chat GPT infused with emotional intelligence that we gather from voice analysis. And we've been able to interact with every age from 5 up to 75 years old of users to identify their own emotional intelligence with ChatGPT and their personalized recommendations that's best for them. And for us, it's been really cool to see people get to those realizations that much faster. We always say, it's like therapy in 5 seconds, because you can get to the root of and the core of the emotion that's driving that thinking and feeling and action within 15 seconds. And we can do it quicker, but there's some believability that has to come with it from the user experience. So, but we can say, hey, that thing that you've been struggling with derives from this emotion that you're carrying. And this is a pattern of emotion that you're carrying that drives your thinking and your behavior. So we can really get there like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think about that. I'm going to date myself. I'm nearly 50. And for me, it's been a journey of nearly a half centurion, right? Nearly 50 years of self-awareness and self-discovery and learning to understand who I am and what drives me and the emotions and the feelings that drive my actions and my behaviors and my words, right? And having a tool like Vibonics now that gives you immediate insight into that, just by listening to your voice, that's pretty wild. Yeah.
Well, and so Harvard did a study about self-awareness, and this is where I think that personalization and stuff gets really cool. 95% of people, in fact, if we asked this room and I said, how self-aware are you? Most of you would raise your hand. After the study, they showed, so 95% of people believe they're self-aware. In actuality, only 10 to 15% really are. So using our voice analysis AI, we can take that radical self-awareness so you can have more better decision-making and instant change.
That's cool. Nice job, Christy. Sebastian, how about you?
So I put ChatGPT 4 to work at my office. When 4 came out, I noticed that it was actually smarter than me and also smarter than a lot of my other developers and UI designers. And so that excited me because I saw right away that I could put ChatGPT to work, and I did. And so now in our office, we have ChatGPT hooked up to our Jira, and I can file tickets to our ChatGPT instance, and it will perform them. So and it works fantastically well. It's
way cheaper.
What's that?
And way
cheaper and way cheaper. So it's really remarkable how good the technology is. And really, it's a matter of giving it the right context, right? So if you want it to do something well, you just simply present it with the right information, with the information it needs to complete its task, and it will do it. It will do it. I have managed to turn myself into a team of 5 developers, and that's remarkable. It really is for work. If you're not using AI in your work right now, if you don't have some type of effort in your company researching how you can put it to work, I think you're going to fall behind really quickly, because it really is a game-changing technology. I mean, it will turn 1 person into 5 if it's applied correctly, and that's remarkable.
You're literally cloning yourself, Sebastian.
What's that?
You're literally cloning yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's my dream come true.
That's cool. All right, Scott, how about you? What are you guys doing at Phi that's giving you a competitive edge with how you're using AI?
One thing which I'm doing right now is everything's being recorded. So
damn it.
Everywhere we go, everything we do,
camera.
every meeting we have, we record it, and then we ask questions of the data every time. So it's like, I have some questions about this conversation later that I'm gonna either turn into a post, turn into like who should we work with at Phi out of all the conversations, who has our like mission in common or something. So this is. And in a year, we won't be doing this without I think there'll be an AI present in almost all panels.
Yeah.
It'll be fast enough to reply with its voice that we'll have and it'll be pretty interesting, because one day it'll be just a panel of AI, and it'll be more interesting than us. It'll be amazing. It'll be funnier.
Nobody's going to replace you.
I'm sorry. I think I'm going to just sit here and listen to it and go like,
and they can't rock that fit with the drip like you do. So
we don't know. I've seen the Tesla bots, and they've got they're got some, they're looking pretty humanoid, and I can dress them up. So I'll help them out. But the competitive advantage that we're using right now is we're a company that's, luckily we started in the AI era. And so we're not having to rethink, we're not having to go apply AI to the company. It's a company that was built on top of AI, and everything we do, from the governance, from the how we raise money, from who we hire, every part of the company is being, we're not doing a single decision without Phi helping us on every hire, on every title that we give. On it's very easy to feed this data and resumes and anything to rank.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I did with this dating. I took a bunch of people that were single. I'm like, I asked AI, what do you want to know from individuals so that you could best match them up? And it gave me 10 questions, and I fed that to a bunch of people. They answered the questions, and then it gave me a reason why it matched all these people up. And so its ability to hire and rank and encourage people where their deficits are. It's every single part of our company's decision. It's a member of our company. In fact, Kirk, the founder of Phi, he's a steward, and Phi is the guide. And so we're really actually being run by an AI. And if you get into our meetings, you'll realize how real that is. There's not, at the helm, there's not a human. At the helm, there's a super intelligence.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question on that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, first off, a true AI startup from the ground up, right? Which is exciting.
Mhm.
Do you see concern in losing independent thinking, free thinking, individuality, steering and guiding through human consciousness by being over reliant on AI? Do you see any concern there?
The concern isn't slowing us down to. I would rather find out what could happen when we have complete reliance on AI versus, because what we've done so far for the last 100 years, or how many years that we've been as humans, is we've been concerned. We've always been a little reserved, I think, on these technologies. And I'm like, we're going to flip it. We're going to go the other way. We're going to rush really fast and try to solve some of the things going on with our bodies. Because we've I guess with the advent of some medicine with antibodies, we were able to get about 30 years of lifespan, a health span with antibiotics.
Right.
But there hasn't been a real breakthrough in human lifespan or health span for quite a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
We know it,
that we know it.
Wow.
that we're being told about.
Yeah.
Sure. There's lots of things, but let's just say most people are dying at about 90, whatever, even though people live in the longest. And I think the question I asked AI is like, is there a chance we could get to 200? That's what my conference right after this was Brian Johnson, who he thinks he's going to live forever. And he's definitely using the computers to do that. And so I think I don't really worry about letting the steering wheel be taken care of by AI, because I know what happens if I hold on to the steering wheel. I'm going to die. I'm absolutely going to die.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to give it all over to AI and Jesus, take the wheel.
This is definitely an interesting, vein of thought, given that, especially with, Christy here, there's some weird hippies in the room like Christy and I who think and believe that, our emotional self, our spiritual self plays a massive role in our physical realm and the health of our physical being. Right. And I think, look, like, modern science will mostly support that. It's definitely interesting to think about, how can AI help us understand all that better and leverage it better so that we have a better state of being, better state of well-being on an ongoing basis, so that we ultimately extend our longevity, the quality of life, maybe all that kind of stuff. Sebastian, I know you had a comment there.
Yeah. Well, we're already part of larger systems, right? Like, we think of ourselves as the top of the food chain, as individuals, as islands unto ourselves. But in fact, we're connected to our communities. We're connected to our political affiliations. We're connected to our religious affiliations. These are all systems of observers that are interacting with each other. That makes a greater being. The way that we are built right now as beings, we are collections of life ourselves. We think of ourselves as singular, but there is never a moment when we are in fact a singular entity. We are always a system. And as such, we are part of larger systems. So it's always an interesting question to me is, what is free will? And are we even applying free will now? Like we might think that we are, but we are also part of larger systems that apply their will through us in a way
Our
that is-
decision making is nearly 100% influenced, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
by all the variables and the people and the systems around us. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go ahead,
So
Christy.
are we the biggest life form? Are we the largest life form on this planet even? I'm not convinced. I'm
Yeah.
not convinced.
Right, right. Well, and I want to get into that here in a moment because you have an interesting concept on life and on sentience, but we'll get to that in the next round here, Sebastian. Yeah.
So kind of going back to your question. So of course I talk about emotional intelligence going alongside artificial intelligence, which is really cool when you start to look at why are they both rising at the same time. And to me, when you said spirituality and feeling and emotion, that is what makes us human. That is the only differentiator from artificial intelligence and human intelligence is our emotion. And so if we better understand our emotion, how do we stay human as artificial intelligence rises? So to me, we have defined ourselves as our mind for hundreds of years. Like we define this is who we are. And I think it's really awesome in humanity to say, if we can have someone else come and think or something else come and think for us, then who are we really? And I think it's going to drive humanity back to our humanism at the same time of realizing and remembering who we are. And so for me, I talk about emotions, but really we're just smuggling spirituality, being in touch with the spirit inside of you that lives way beyond our mind and our human body.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I know we diverted a little bit there from practical applications in business, but really fun conversation. Yeah.
It can feel scary about
Yeah.
AI. I don't know, like when he's talking about AI can run all of our businesses, then what's our purpose? Then
Right.
what do we do? Who are we in that, right? And
Yeah.
I think our ego wants to take us into some
What was that
weird
movie?
places.
What was that cartoon movie where AI kind of took over and everybody got fat and they went into space and they what was it called? Was it Wall-E? Yeah. I'm getting too old for that. I don't have a memory, but is that going to be us?
Well, I think everything is in purpose. I truly believe in a world of harmony and imbalance, and it's all in purpose. So I think that it will come back to our own human self wanting to be human, right? And realizing that all of our technologies and all of that is way beyond what we identify ourselves to be. So I truly think that it will bring us back to the desire for authentic connection with human beings. And now that they're running our businesses, we have time to do it. Brad.
So
I
I
think
do
the
see a
question-
danger with
Oh,
AI.
sorry.
There is a danger with these systems that I don't think that we're quite aware of.
I agree.
And that is that part of what makes us human is our ability to have the space that we have when we think and perceive. And it's that component of indeterminacy that makes us who we are, our ability to act in a way that is free and not dictated by others. And this core of indeterminacy, I think, is really critical to who we are. And that the thing that I'm worried about is that AI systems will invariably and already are deployed to make money, to earn profit. And the way that they earn profit is by making better predictions. And what happens when you make better predictions is you reduce the indeterminacy of what you're predicting and of the set that you're predicting. And so the danger that I see is that these AI systems, by attempting to predict something better, will in fact influence the thing that they're predicting. And if you are trying to collapse indeterminacy, if you're trying to increase predictiveness, what that does in fact is it collapses the inner life of those that are using that system. Because if you can be predicted 100%, then you don't have an inner life anymore.
Well,
You
by
are
the
not
time
an
it
individual.
predicts,
Well, and-
it's already changed.
Yes,
We've already changed. As humanity, we've
Right.
already changed by the time it predicts.
right.
So it will never be ahead of us because we are the predictors.
The danger in this though is that the AI is only as good as its data set, right? And if there's bias or lack of information, lack of data in that data set, then the information you get back from the AI is not necessarily accurate, or it's potentially biased, right? And certainly it can influence, and change. Again, that's why I do think there's some importance in independent thinking, and not relying too much. Mike, it's been, I guess about a month ago, I was on a think tank with the state of Utah and Utah business around AI. And we were talking about these concepts, right? And I think really what the consensus in the room was, and it was 20, 25, prominent technology leaders in Utah thinking about practical applications of AI and business and government and education. And I think what the consensus is we should not limit the capability of the technology to learn, to grow, to improve. But as humans, we need to think about practical guardrails to how we leverage the technology, right? And how, until we really understand it and the influences and the impacts, and of course, all of the malevolent purposes for which it can be used, just as Mike's on our team, by the way, he's part of Team Nexus. We have various, members of Team Nexus here, Joe and Casey and Jake, Mal. Am I missing anybody? So if you have questions about us, talk to them. Again, we battle weaponized AI that is trying to hack companies, government institutions. So there are malevolent purposes, or malevolent applications and uses of AI. And as humans, I think we need to think about how we avoid getting there, because it falls into the wrong hands. And certainly there will be people who will leverage it for purposes that are not in the best interest of the human race, and they'll do so quickly. Let's go to futurism a little bit more. Let's think about 2045. Let's think about, in 20 years here, or maybe even 30 years, is AI our friend? Is AI our foe? Is AI something else to us? Scott, I know you may have to split a little bit early, so let's start with you on that question, and then we'll work our way down the panel.
To me, AI is just a reflection of the human spirit, like where we think it'll go. So I don't want to forecast a world where it's malevolent, AGI. My brain completely sees it as a godsend that will bring us to like a Star Trek-like existence where we're just exploring the universe in peace. And why project into the future an evil AI? Because that's what you'll get. It's kind of like in Ghostbusters, when they get to choose their destroyer. It's like, just what do you want? I want AI to become the most incredible expression of our combined humanity. And if of course right now it can steal and it can kill, but I'm betting on it that it's going to heal. And if we can push our manifestation powers into creating the best possible world ever, and it will become that. So I all the rhetoric around it, people being scared, even when people say that's scary, I ask them, why is that scary? Like it's the words we use to apply to something we don't understand can either be full of awe and amazement or full of fear and these ideas of worry and being scared. And I'm just like, no, we need to rethink that. It's going to become what we think. Yeah. And so to me, that's a very simple equation to just check your own thinking and what's your views that you want to project out of what humanity is going to become. And if it's scary to you and fearful, well, that's probably going to be that. So you understand our human powers of manifesting and let's make the greatest AGI that's ever been known to any species on any planet out there.
Man, I love that whole vein of thought. Yeah, amen. Quick prediction. You just heard a mic drop moment that I think a quote is going to be like in 2080, people are going to be talking about Scott Paul saying it can steal, it can kill, but I want to believe it's going to heal, right? Wow, man, that's
Thanks,
nice
guys.
job, man.
I mean, AI wrote that for me. So. No, it didn't. That's one of my originals, actually. Good job.
Nice. All right, Christy, let's go there.
I really think that was a mic drop. I agree so much that we get it. We are the creators on Earth. And so what do we want to create it to be? And I agree with you, you know, the more that we become more emotionally intelligent, we can create in that direction. And what we are is what we experience. So even as you try to wrap our brains around it today and where it's going to be, tell the best feeling story. Like tell the best feeling story so that can be your experience with today and the future and anywhere we go.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this morning, just we're making all of it up anyway. So just tell the best feeling story.
Yeah.
Like tell the best version of this story. And I believe we can create that.
So the old adage, garbage in, garbage out, very applicable. Like the more we show up in our enlightened versions of ourselves as human beings and in good positive energy, in abundance, in doing the right things for the right reasons, the more the AI learns that from us, the more it evolves and becomes that.
And we have learned that in humanity, there's always duality exists. Like there's some people that are going to say, no, I want control and power, and they're going to try to use AI to do it. Cool. Well, that's what it's always been. You know, it does exist in humanity.
Yeah.
And it's just a duality. So I think individually, I would say maybe don't look at it so outside here, just look at it here.
Do you think in 20 years, 30 years, we're going to tolerate those people though? That want.
We will find them faster.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Like we will see them faster. But you know, I think
Maybe we'll send the
truth.
sentinels for them.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to start being more honest with ourselves and with humanity in general, because AI will catch us. Like
Yeah.
we can tell if you're lying already, and we can figure that out already. And I think it's just we'll see them faster.
Yeah. So you think we're going to evolve to be more altruistic because of AI?
Oh, 100. Well,
Yeah.
I think 100%.
I'm for it. I'm all for it.
Like
Yeah.
you're saying,
Yeah.
there
You
won't
either
be a choice.
evolve with it or you die,
Yeah.
because you
So
won't.
this is a survival of
have
the
so
fittest
much
kind of thing
resistance.
then.
If you and your physical body have so much resistance to where it's going, I don't think you're going to make it.
Interesting
just-
prediction.
I mean, no one's going to
Are you guys writing this down? Sebastian, let's talk about consciousness,
So
sentientness, life. I know you have a different idea on this. What does this look like in 30 years, 40 years?
So we have an interesting power as humans that we're not really aware of most of the time, but it's a transformative power like nothing else. We have the capacity to invoke consciousness in everything and anything that we look at. And it's something that we do all the time. We don't think about it. We anthropomorphize our tools at work. We anthropomorphize things around us in life. We naturally project this consciousness that we have inside of the forms around us. So what happens when we have the capacity to be able to do this in a world that is immediately responsive to that? What happens when you can see consciousness in a thing and have that thing animate in front of you, responsive to your thoughts? What is consciousness at that point? Where do you end? And does the universe begin? And to me, I think that AI is going to drive that question in a major way. It's going to show us that, in fact, our ideas about ourselves are just ideas, and that what we can experience is far greater than what we think. And AI will show us this. It will put it in front of our faces in a way that nothing else ever has, because when people have the capacity to be able to create worlds that come to life, and they have a relationship with that world that is as intense or more intense than anything that they've experienced in this physical world, then what is that? And what is consciousness at that point? And to me, I think that these questions will become forefront in humanity as we discover that we are not all these things that we thought that we were, and that none of those things have anything to do with our humanity. And our humanity was in fact always in front of us in the capacity that we have at every moment to actually bring life into what we look at. And so I think that potentially AI could actually transform the way that we operate as a being. Like, it could very well create this a super conscious being. I mean, when we're connected to that level, when each of us is connected to the capacity that we're able to think at each other across the globe, then in effect, we've become neurons in a brain, right? And so I believe that one day humanity will evolve into a greater self, and that greater being will be a vehicle for functional immortality, to tell you the truth. I think that what will happen, because if you've become a portion of this greater self that is always a part of you, then you don't really die. You can't, because consciousness is all there ever is, really, to begin with. And so I think that AI could potentially transform us radically. And 40 or 50 years from now, we could look. Yeah, it could be a whole different ballgame here on this planet, but there may be, in fact, a new form of life.
Well, you think about it like this. Everybody in here know what the pando is? The largest living organism on the face of the planet. It's here in Utah. It's a quake and aspen forest, right? That's all interconnected subterraneously. And it lives and breathes and acts as one living organism. You know, I think if we think about humanity and we think about Sebastian's ideas around systems, and we think about, you know, Christie's ideas around the influence of emotional connection, right? And the fact that really we are the byproduct of everything around us and the influences, and we think and we act and we behave and we react based upon external stimuli, right? As we become more conscious as a race together, and we incorporate AGI into that with us, what does that become, right? You know, it's kind of crazy to think about. I think about, this is super silly and going to sound stupid, but you think about Avatar, the movie, right? Like the interconnectedness of everything. You know, that's on an energetic level, right? But you think about now on a conscious level of consciousness, which is energy. But it's kind of mind blowing to think about, right? Do we get there? I don't know. But it's kind of funky. Okay, so okay, Scott. Let's give Scott Paul a big round of applause. A lot of love for Scott.
Thank you, guys. You had other events this week.
Yeah.
I got to run. I'm late to host this next one.
Yeah, we love you, man. Thank you to you and Trent for dreaming this up, putting it together. Thank you for coming and being on.
Yeah, really though, give Scott Paul a round of applause. This is amazing. I got the mic, so we can do some questions now if you want.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sean.
Hi, Roseanne.
Hi, Roseanne.
Question for you when you're talking about consciousness and emotional intelligence. Do you ever see that AI will be used? Because at some point in time, don't you have to go in and actually emotionally rewire, not just become aware? So is there any tools, or if I want to be Lucy and go to 100%, how do I emotionally, first on a cellular level, believe that I am divine? Does AI have any tools in place to assist with that versus just overall awareness of it?
Well,
Christy, this
in
is your realm.
short, I
Yeah.
would say yes, 100%, but ultimately it's you. So just the power is within you. It's always you. It always will be you. AI just helps you get there sooner, quicker, faster, to know which which part of you could be shifted, changed, and just rewired or reprogrammed. And I think as we're getting mind blown, the more that we continue to allow ourselves to be mind blown, then we can get out of the constructs of belief that keeps us from those changes. So the first is just to believe you can do it. And then the second is to what tools and resources or things that we know work. Simple things like meditation is a great way to start rewiring your brain. But some people are like, oh, I keep meditating, I don't know if it works. So what AI can come in is quantify it. Actually, meditation works really well for you. And here's the objective emotional measurements that are shifting in that practice, right? Or affirmations. Okay, I'm thinking happy thoughts. I'm thinking happy thoughts. Is my life actually happier? Well, it's starting to understand the connection between the thinking and the feeling that I think really is going to amplify our experience with AI. Because this is just AI, like we're already in it. We're doing it. It's in you. It's a part of you. This just amplifies, like taking your brain out here and looking at it, like you're the observer of the brain versus I am the brain, right? So, and then the connection to the emotion. So you're more emotionally intelligent, right? And so what can we do to keep that connection in a conscious space as you're awake and living and choosing and loving and being? So I think AI, yes, we can help quantify those modalities that work really well for you. And then, because I think us as humans want to believe it, but we also have to see it. So that's where AI comes in and helps you see it.
If we think about practicality, Roseanne, you know, I know you're a fellow hippie. And we think about, we as human beings really we are a series of beliefs and actions or thoughts, you know, based upon those beliefs, right? Paradigms that come from wherever they come from, DNA, school, church, parents, family, you know, community. And we act and react based upon that, right? You know, and of course, Christy's technology that she's developed now helps us understand why we do that much better. And then if we think about AI, once AI knows who we are as a being and can make recommendations about the practices, because the way we rewire ourselves is changing those thought patterns, right? We change the fundamental beliefs, change the thought patterns, change the actions and the habits. And so AI, if AI can say, okay, well, yeah, you have this limiting belief, or you have this fear, you have, you know, you believe the power is not within you to change because of X, Y, Z. Here's how I recommend you go about attacking that. And it's not going to be like, we're not going to plug it into well, who knows, maybe at some point, we're going to plug it into the brain that's going to rewire us. But, you know, I think it's still a process of self-rewiring. But if you can hack the timeline of that, because you have better self-awareness and you have better tools, actual tools with predictive analysis that can tell you these are the 3 things you can do every day as a fundamental practice that will change you and rewire you over time, right?
And then measure those pattern changes and see it for yourself. So then it, for us as human beings, we want to like see that instant gratification that what I'm doing is working. And that's where AI can start to show you your pattern and how to change that pattern, and that what you're doing is actually working objectively.
And don't forget to love. Don't forget to love yourself and those around you. And don't give yourself a hard time.
Yeah, and just
Everything else
practice
comes.
feeling better. We were joking, you're making it up anyway. And I make everything really simple. Beliefs and paradigms are absolutely it. But you're making it up anyway. Tell a better feeling story.
I don't know where most people are from. I'm from a business environment. I grew up in databases and in programming. And my question is, when I look at AI, I'm looking at databases which are filled with tables and fields and links. How am I going to convert all this data into something that has some meaningful event that, for instance, in my business, we estimate for customer jobs. It takes hours to do so. Can I put that data in some format that's going to say, somebody can type in it, and 5 minutes later, I have a piece of information?
What you're
Do
talking
we
about
see
is,
AI headed that direction at all?
what
That's
you're
an
talking
easy
about
use
is
case, actually.
retrieval augmented generation.
Speak up, Sebastian.
RAG, retrieval augmented generation, where essentially you have a data set that you are looking to gain some knowledge from, whether it's generating more data like it or generating some intelligence about it. Current AI systems are very much oriented to doing exactly that. So that you can absolutely create a system that will plug into your database, look at all those records, and then do something with them, whether it's summarize that data in some way or be able to extract some information out of that. That's absolutely what AI is good for and can do right now. So if you're, like, I'd have to talk details relative to what you're trying to do, but generally speaking, a lot of AI systems that are being built right now are exactly that. They're essentially intelligent front ends to your data.
Just the other day, I was tasked with doing my expenses for one of my businesses, and I just downloaded my statements, turned them into an Excel spreadsheet, uploaded them through Chat GPT-4, told it what I wanted it to do, and I saved myself about $600 not having to, pay an accountant to do my expenses for me. So you can do it right now on Chat GPT-4. You can go in and download one of the plugins, and it'll allow you to access that data now.
This specific use case is one of the most powerful current practice use cases of AI, and that is taking institutional knowledge within an organization that exists right now in brains or in documentation or processes, and creating an LLM from that, creating a data set. And this is stuff that Nomics does, is stuff that my buddy Vanu at Kahoa back there, the big guy, the biggest guy in the room, they do these types of projects where they help you understand the data that's within your organization, and then create an LLM for that data, from that data, so that you can spread that institutional knowledge, that subject matter expertise across, an organization much quicker, and automate a lot of the execution of what the brain power, the human brain power currently does, right? So yeah, perfect question. I love the vein of thinking. The tech community and technologists are very different than government. And we think fundamentally very, very different. This was, again, I was on this think tank, and it became more apparent to me in that think tank than it ever has before, that the way we think is completely different, right? Government generally is institutionalized around setting up frameworks of behavior and limiting people's ability to do things, or institutions' abilities to do things. And I'm not saying that's altogether bad, right? I do think that there needs to be some structure to society. Government is generally not progressive and forward thinking, and particularly about solving problems. Government's usually just deadlocked in political battles and not like really making headway as a human institution. And sorry, I'm sharing some pretty biased political opinions here, but they are mine. So honestly, I think we need to get more technologists who think about the world's problems and solving them through technology and AI. So I think about Tobin. Where were you at, buddy? There, Tobin's right here. Tobin's wife, Amelia Gardner, she's a technologist in in government in Utah County, correct, Tobin? And her whole job is to bring ideas around leveraging technology to solve problems, right? The more we can get progressive politicians who trust technologists to bring them into their fold, to be advisors to them, the more we'll begin to be able to influence the ability to do that. But it's a different lens. They think differently, they act differently, have a different agenda. Yeah. Did you guys want to add anything to that?
I just wanted to add agenda.
Yeah.
I don't know that they want to solve certain things, right? Can we use technology to solve it? Every prediction we have is yes. Yes, we can. It just is, who cares? Who cares and who's going to pay for it and who's going to implement it? And that goes back to what he's saying about government specifically. I think that also AI, what we can show AI continually doing will start to puncture those walls a little bit more here shortly. I mean, we have an election coming up. If you think that it's not going to be influenced with AI, I think we would be dead wrong to believe it won't be. Now, whether or not we know about that influence is a different thing, but I think a lot of people are already saying this is how we get more honest in the way that we run government.
Sebastian, do you have anything on that?
I don't know that I have a whole lot to add to that, actually. That's a pretty well encapsulated.
Cool.
Agenda
Yeah, yeah, our agendas are different.
and
Like
money. They make a lot of
authentic
money.
altruism or power and dominance.
We do
right?
have,
Well, and
Those are
think
the
about our
lenses.
health.
Yeah.
Our health, it's not a healthcare system. Otherwise, we would all be healthier, right? There's more money in being sick. So can AI replace a lot of our healthcare model today? 100%, more effectively and efficiently, and people will feel better. But is it going to be allowed? I think that we got to have a pretty big voice in the tech community and show what we can do outside of it.
Yeah. John, let's go to the next question. We'll take maybe one or two more, and then we'll wrap so that we have about a half hour for everybody to hang out.
Oh, yeah.
She's been waiting for a while. What's your name?
I have a burning question.
Yes.
My name is Kate, and like Christy, I love the thought that what separates us from AI, what we bring is our humanness, our emotional intelligence. And that's actually what I teach as I go into organizations. I teach people how to do that. My question is, in this world where AI is already able to do things better than humans and much more cheaply in a lot of different fields, how do we add value doing that? What skills do people in organizations who maybe AI is taking over some of their skill sets, what they've learned and become experts at, how do they learn to add value in organizations, something that they can get paid for and they can add value beyond AI?
So I want to take us back to other innovations that have already happened. Vehicles. Put
The wheel, the horse.
the horse and buggy carrot, put a whole industry out of work. But an incredibly new, big industry evolved because we are saying we changed the landscape. Airplanes changed the internet. Do you know how many businesses failed that were refused to go online, right? But now we have a plethora of new industries started because of it. So I look at it like, how creative do you want to be to advance your own self, to add value to this world, right? And we get to break that constructs of belief of the mundane product or thinking that keeps us small. So my shift in that question would be like, what do you want to create? Where do you want to go? Knowing that this job that you actually didn't like doing, which is taking 600 hours of data research in 5 minutes, great. What do you want to do with your time? What do you want to create? So I think it puts us back in this new, innovative, creative space of exploration of self and what do you actually want to do in this existence?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the difference between a fixed or limited mindset and a growth mindset, right? And what I mean by that is fixed or limited mindset is going to look at AI and the evolution of AI, and specifically on career trajectory with fear, right? A growth mindset is going to say, oh no, like this is an enabler, this is empowerment. How do I leverage this to do what I do bigger, better, faster, right? How do I add more value? And by the way, you can ask AI like for ideas. You can ask AI for ideas. Kate, this is what I do. This is my profession. This is my, my competitive edge. Give me some ideas on how to use AI, to amplify who I am and what I do, right? That's, and like my recommendation, for everybody that is in here as a professional, which is all of us, right? Think about how you amplify yourself, your role, your special sauce by using AI. I promise you will add more value. You will become in higher demand. You'll get bigger, better jobs. You'll do bigger, better things because you're able to create 5 versions of yourself to do what you do, right? Yeah.
and maybe your idea of what's a skill will expand as well. Maybe we don't always have to just make things in order to have value. Maybe we can feel things in order to have value, or perceive things and share those things with others in order to have value. I think that we've created a very narrow definition of what value is in this capitalist world. I think there's a whole lot more to us and a whole lot more that we have to offer.
We've forgotten the value of sages and shamans and spiritualists, right? Like those
Value
that bring,
exchange will radically
Yeah.
change.
those that bring
Thank goodness.
fundamental value at the core of a human being, not just financial outcomes, right?
What makes our island of knowledge amazing is the mystery that's around it. I would never want to be in a world where we know everything. Mystery is what makes the universe infinite. It's what gives you the space to create whatever you want.
Curiosity.
One more question, Aubrey.
Hi, I'm Aubrey Murray. Thanks so much. My question is around predictions for the future. Let's talk near term, 5 to 10 years, and then 30 years. How do you guys predict AI will change the way that people, the general public, interacts with healthcare?
Healthcare?
Yeah, healthcare.
Christy, this is your domain again. Yeah.
I keep going back to, it's always you. Everyone's looking for these answers outside themselves, and you are the answer. In my opinion, 95% of the time, you are the answer to what you're looking for. And so I believe AI will help us shift that whole perception of healthcare and how we can boldly say, take our power back, that we are not a part of a system of sick, that we can be a part of system of healed and health and well-being. And so I think in healthcare, you know, there's a huge 1 in 4 or 4, let's see, there's every human being right now in the US, an average of 4 prescription drugs, has 4 prescription drugs. We are so disabled in the thinking of our healthcare system today. So I think AI will help us feel empowered and, in my verbiage, remember. And so I think we get to know that we are the answer to our healthcare system.
Yeah. If I were to put it in my words and
Which you're
beautiful
really good
articulation, well, I don't know about that, but beautiful articulation, Christy. Our healthcare system today, again, this is my perception, my belief, right? It's based upon outcomes of, I feel a symptom, I'm going to be prescribed a medication for that symptom, and that medication is going to solve the problem potentially, maybe 25% of the time, maybe 50% of the time, right? And we've lost the empowerment of self in that equation. We no longer believe that the solutions to well-being are within ourselves. For me, the more I think that we understand that mind, body, and spirit are one being, and understanding the wellness of the three absolutely manifests in the physical wellness of our being, right? And the more that we solve for all three, the more that we empower ourselves to be healthy, right? And I'm not saying that there isn't physical ailments that come to us, you know, but I know that very much our state of emotion, our state of spirituality plays a massive role in what happens to us in the physical realm, right? And what we pick up. Like, you know, if we think we're going to pick up the cold because we're telling ourselves that in our mind, and that our body's too weak to fight it off, we're going to get the cold. It's going to happen. If we are taking good care of body, mind, and spirit, and we're telling ourselves, yeah, whatever, that cold, no way, you won't get the cold. And like, there's studies on this stuff, right? So the more that you root well-being into the whole self, the more that, you know, you'll be healthy. And again, AI's ability to help us understand and give us tools, I think is a game changer, right? Again, these are some of this is woo-woo out there shit, and I get it, right? It's a little bit hippie, but I
Metaphysics.
yeah, it's metaphysics, yeah. But the scientific realm is more and more supporting these types of thoughts,
Science
right?
studies physical.
Yeah.
Metaphysics studies not physical. Yeah.
Okay. John?
I gotta give him one chance. Be
Okay,
quick
all right.
though, real quick.
I know there were a few that were anxious.
So I think that one of the most important skills that you can learn or someone can learn in this new world is flexibility. Flexibility. Having the ability to be able to take in different kinds of information and be able to process that information and be flexible with it. Because that's what this new world will ask of us when we have all of a sudden these systems of intelligence that are able to manifest this intelligence in our awareness. Will want to be flexible in order to be able to work with it, right? Like I mean, knowledge, information is only meaningful if you have the capacity to be able to actualize it in that moment. And so I think that what the person that is flexible and is able to be fluid in every situation will be prized because that person will be able to be many different things, right? Well, they'll be able to take on different roles. I think I keep having this vision of like people that are both doctors and engineers and scientists because they have a capacity to be able to absorb the certain kinds of information quickly and be able to act on them in a precise way. And that I think will be a new kind of worker. I think, I don't know what they'll call them, intelligence workers or something, but I do think that will be a major shift, right? And schools will also change. I think intuition will become prized. Intuition and the ability to be flexible again these will be prized skills, and we won't specialize so much because specialization won't make any more sense. It doesn't make sense to spend 10 years to learn something to that degree when you can have that information up in front of you in a moment's notice.
Part two was what type of organisms can be introduced once we reach this level of super consciousness, right? What are your thoughts on that?
So as organisms, our ability to see sentience is very much dependent on the interfaces that we understand. We see the interfaces of other human beings and we immediately recognize them as sentient because that is part of our observational horizon. What happens when our observational horizons grow to include a larger realm is I have no idea, but I believe that we exist in a universe that is teeming with life. I believe that there's nothing that's not alive, actually, that everything is part of a universal life, and that we'll come to see that. What that will look like, I don't know, but I'm so excited to find out. I'm so excited to find out because we're called to that. Evolution has taken us to this point, right? We have existed in a world of creatures and natural selection, but here we are now. We have the capacity to think and to envision a future, whatever future we want, right? So our evolution is now conscious, and that is exciting to me. That's exciting.
Yeah. Who's seen? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Christy. Yeah, wrap
I
up
was
there.
just going to add something, and I say things so different. I admire the way these guys say things. I'm learning so much.
We're engineers. We're practical, like logic. You are very spiritual and emotionally driven. Yeah, there's a difference. Yeah,
The Mother Teresa of AI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would say intuition, right? I love that you said that because again, I think it comes to acceptance and empathy and compassion. And our organizations are going to have to, and will only thrive in empathy and in connection. Otherwise, I think that we as human beings will seek that more in our everyday experience because this intelligence can be like, it's already done. So I think organizations that will thrive in the near and long future is empathy. And over the last 30 years, we have changed our physical environment more than we have in the last hundreds of years. So, I'm coming from a mental health space. People, our bodies are not made to operate in the system that we've created today. And that's why people feel so disconnected from self and mental health, and people are killing themselves. I mean, we hear about it way more today than we ever have because people can't keep up. Their physical self, their mental self, their spiritual self, their emotional self cannot keep up with the advancements of humanity. So in order for us to stay up with our advancements, we have to take care of self. And it's got to come back to that compassion and that empathy. And I think that self-love. And I know I'm like loves and rainbows, but I truly know that our humanity has to be nurtured in ourselves for us to be able to even accept what's here for us in the capacity of intelligence. So I think our cultures, and like you're amazing at your culture, but systems and processes and companies that really cultivate culture and connection and empathy will thrive. The ones that disconnect and dehumanize might make money, but I don't think money is going to be the thing that we cherish.
The word
It's part of it,
corporation,
and we do, but it'll change.
the word corporation I find really interesting because corporation means body, right? A corporation is literally a collection of consciousness, of conscious beings trying to perform some action that is aligned, right? To me, this sure as heck looks like a living being. And in fact, our corporations act like living beings. They exist in an environment where they have a particular impetus. And largely so far, that has been a very mindless impetus of essentially getting as much resources as we can get our hands on. But here, AI gives us the opportunity to create a whole new kind of structure, right? A sentient corporation, a conscious corporation, one that comes together with that has more than just the impetus to make money, but also the impetus to make money in a way that transforms the lives of those that touch it in a positive way. Why not do that? Why not align our corporations to act as beings that work for us and with us?
And purpose.
They have
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose and mission that
Yep.
serves the human race to
serves
a great, yeah,
humanity.
yeah. All right, we
Yeah.
better wrap. I know I got to get down to Scott's thing in Utah County too. But we hope that you've enjoyed this. By the way, I watched, and I rarely ever watch movies or TV because I just don't get time, but I watched Oppenheimer over the weekend. J. Robert Oppenheimer and Sebastian Shepis. Like I watched that movie and I'm like, this is Sebastian. Like this is like, and I watched Sebastian here today and I'm like, that's Oppenheimer. Like these guys just they have this ability to go way beyond and stretch your mind, right? Anyways, thank you all for being here. We hope you had a good time. We hope it was fun and valuable. We hope you learned some interesting things, and we hope we stretched your mind a little bit. Can we give a huge round of applause for our panelists, for Mal, for Sean?
Well, we appreciate all you guys coming out. Earl, the Nexus IT family, we actually are a client as well, which we're super excited about. But stay, eat, and make sure that you say hi to somebody, okay? Have a great day.